The rain poured relentlessly over the dark streets of downtown Chicago. The evening rush had slowed, cars inching through the waterlogged roads as tired headlights cast eerie reflections on the pavement. Inside a sleek black Mercedes Maybach, Alexander Reed sat quietly, eyes glued to his tablet screen. A billionaire tech mogul and known perfectionist, Alexander had no time for distractions, especially not on the eve of the biggest investor meeting of his career. As his driver turned a corner near a rundown block, the car slowed. There, through the tinted glass, Alexander noticed something unusual, a tiny figure standing near the traffic light. A little girl, barefoot, wearing a tattered pink jacket soaked with rain, held a broken umbrella above her head. She looked no older than 7. Before Alexander could even process it, she stepped off the sidewalk and gently tapped on his window. The driver hesitated, but eventually rolled it down halfway. The cold wind and scent of wet concrete rushed in. "Mister," the girl said, her voice barely above a whisper. "My sister." "She's too weak to beg." Alexander's brow furrowed. "Your sister?" The little girl nodded and pointed behind her, toward a shadowy alleyway. "She's in the trunk." Her words struck him like ice. The trunk? Without another thought, Alexander stepped out of the car, ignoring the rain soaking his tailored coat. His driver called after him, confused and concerned, but Alexander followed the girl silently. She led him past overflowing dumpsters, broken glass, and graffiti-covered walls until they reached a rusted old hatchback parked crookedly behind a closed diner. With trembling fingers, the girl lifted the hatchback's trunk lid. Alexander froze. Inside, barely alive, lay a younger girl, curled tightly under a blanket of torn clothes and trash bags. Her lips were dry, her cheeks hollow, and her small frame didn't move much, only her chest rose and fell weakly. Next to her were 2 plastic bottles, empty, and a worn photo of a smiling family, now faded with time and dirt. "We've been sleeping here since winter," the little girl said, looking up at him. "Please don't call the police. We don't want to be taken away." Alexander Reed, the man who thought he had seen everything, stood completely still. He had never felt this helpless, and something inside him began to change. Alexander Reed stared at the frail child lying in the trunk, her chest rising so faintly it was hard to tell if she was even breathing. Rain soaked through his shirt, but he didn't care. The world around him blurred. Time slowed. The powerful CEO who once commanded boardrooms now found himself speechless before 2 helpless children. The older girl, Emma, clutched her doll tightly. Her voice trembled. "Please, sir, don't let them take us. I can take care of her, I promise. I just need help for Lily. She hasn't eaten in 2 days." Alexander knelt beside the trunk, carefully lifting Lily into his arms. She was light, far too light. Emma flinched, but Alexander looked at her softly. "You're not in trouble," he said gently. "You're safe now, I promise." His driver opened the car door without a word, astonished at what he was witnessing. Inside the warm Mercedes, Alexander wrapped Lily in a blanket and motioned Emma to sit beside him. They sped toward St. Grace Private Hospital, one of the finest in the city, and one Alexander had funded himself. Doctors rushed out the moment they saw who it was. "Forget who I am," Alexander snapped. "Focus on her." As Lily was wheeled away, Emma clung to his hand. For the first time in years, Alexander felt something real. Something that numbers, awards, or applause couldn't offer purpose. Hours passed. Finally, a doctor returned with cautious optimism. "She's severely malnourished, but she survived. You got her here just in time." Emma burst into tears, and Alexander hugged her tightly. That hug was when he made his decision. Over the next weeks, Alexander used his resources to place the girls in emergency care, but he didn't stop there. Behind closed doors, with no media or cameras, he filed for temporary guardianship. not as a publicity stunt, not for a tax write-off, but because he couldn't look away anymore. He turned his penthouse guest room into a bedroom with bunk beds, fairy lights, and shelves of books and toys. Lily recovered. Emma smiled more. And every night before bed, two little girls whispered, "Good night" to the man they once feared, and now called Dad. Because the moment he looked into that trunk, Alexander Reed didn't just see a child, he saw his second chance.